4-2, day 2, right?
4-4.
Oh, 4-4, not 4-2. Thank you. Okay, so we're 3 pi over 2. And tangent is what function over what function?
1 over
Sine over cosine. And it's quadrantal, so I need to be thinking 0, -1, right? Just because it's your birthday don't mean I won't take that. Okay, sine is what? Y, so it's -1 over 0.
Oh, it's still undefined.
So it's still undefined. So your first section is all quadrantals. You'll just be finding different secant, cosecant, cotangent, tangent. Use those identities to help you. Because here I used the reciprocal identity, didn't I?
Yes.
Here, what's this one called?
Cosine over sine.
They call ratio.
Yeah, I did
The ratio.
It's the same.
The ratio. Oh, what's the Pythagorean ones? Sine squared plus
Cosine squared equals cotangent. I don't know.
equals 1.
Tangent.
And then tangent plus tangent squared plus 1 equals
Sine. Or
what's in the
cosecant.
what's in the denominator of tangent?
Sine.
Cosine.
Cosine. So what other function has cosine in the denominator?
Sine.
Secant.
Secant.
That's the same thing.
No, it's not. And then cotangent squared theta plus 1. And I don't know why I write it that way. Normally I put 1 plus tangent squared. Doesn't matter, right? It's addition. Okay, what's in the denominator of cotangent?
Sine.
Sine. So what function is sine?
Cosecant.
Cosecant. So there's a good review. I don't think you have to use them today, but do you need to know these Pythagorean identities?
Yes.
Probably, and that's
Very much so.
that's the problem.
Tomorrow's review is going to deal a lot with, not a lot, but some with that. This is going to be these identities will be a very small part of your test. You will have a test on proving identities where it's a huge part. But right now it's going to be a really small part. Okay, reference angles. Review. See, this whole assignment's kind of a review. Okay, reference angles. What is a reference angle? How do I say it?
You're however
Something
much
from
away
the
from the
far
x-axis.
Right. But what's my symbol?
It's your party hat
With
theta.
the hat.
Theta with the party hat, right? Because it's supposed to make my life easier.
It's
Probably birthday.
21.
Okay. And reference is, you guys said it, the distance from where?
X-axis.
Okay, so let's draw our picture so we can go over it real quick. Okay, so my x-axis is 0 degrees and 0 radians, and 360 degrees and 2 pi, right? And then over here it is 180 and pi.
Yes.
Is that orange dark enough? Oh, it is. Okay, so anything in the first quadrant, the reference angle equals what? Itself, doesn't it? Okay, so reference angle equals angle. Anything in the first quadrant. Okay, well in the second quadrant, if I land over here,
That is.
how am I going to find this? Because that's my reference angle, right? So this is
180
theta.
Minus theta.
So 180 minus theta,
Yeah.
180 minus theta,
And pi minus theta.
and pi minus theta. And if we look at the picture, is it pretty obvious how I do that? Yeah. Okay. Now when I come over here in the third quadrant,
180 plus theta. Right?
no, theta minus
minus
180.
180.
Now you could do 180 minus theta still, but you're going to get a negative number, right? And then you have to make sure, because reference angles are always positive acute. Oh, how would I spell it right?
Ooh,
That was bad. That's acute. Positive acute angles, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so remember that. So theta minus 180 or theta minus
Pi.
Pi. How do I know which one to use?
Radians or degrees?
Radians or degrees. Okay. So with pi, though, you got to make sure you have common denominators, right? When you're subtracting.
Yeah.
Don't forget that. Okay, how do I find anything over here?
360 minus.
360 minus theta and
2 pi.
2 pi minus theta. And those all give me my theta hats, right? So we remember that. Oops. So what is the reference angle to 309? So theta equals 309. So reference angle is what?
360 minus 309.
So 360 minus 309.
51.
50.
So 51 equals my reference angle.
Yup.
Okay. Ooh, here's a good one. Negative 215 degrees.
That means you go this way.
Okay.
Counterclockwise.
So that means where are we at?
You go clockwise.
The
Right here,
second
right?
quadrant.
Yeah.
So we need to we need the difference. We need to add 180 basically, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, whatever we get, we're going to take the positive of it, correct? That's what I'm trying to get through to you. Everyone get this? Okay, so I'm going to add 180. Actually, I should do it right. Okay, here it says 180 minus the theta, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to work. Okay, just minus 180. So 215 minus 180.
45.
Is 45?
No, 35. My bad.
35?
Yeah.
Okay, so the reference angle is
45.
35.
So you just get rid of.
Yes, they always have to be acute. Because it's your distance. Because if we're going the distance from the x-axis, isn't that distance always going to be an acute angle? Yeah.
So if it's a negative, it really doesn't matter.
No. You just got to get to the quadrant that you're in.
Okay.
So, like negative 130, that'd be here, right?
Yeah.
So 130 and 180, the difference between that would be 50. Okay? It doesn't matter that it's negative. You need the negative tells you what quadrant you're in.
So would the answer to that be negative 50 degrees?
No.
But it's 130 minus 180.
Right, but we don't because the reference angle is always positive because distance is never negative, correct? And that's in our definition. CJ. Yes. Okay, one more. How about a radians? 7 pi over 6. See if I can do it right here. So theta equals 7 pi over 6. So theta hat, well, 7 pi over 6 is, well, 1 bigger than 1 whole pi, correct?
Yeah.
How did I figure that out?
Because
1 pi is 6 over 6.
7's bigger than 6, right?
by one.
Okay, so we're here.
Yep.
So I'm here. So it tells me to take theta minus pi. So 7 pi over 6, and pi is going to be 6 pi over 6, right? Common denominators.
It's going to be pi over
So
6.
pi over
6.
6, or 30 degrees, right? Yes?
Yeah.
See.
See? Okay, evaluate the sine, cosine, and tangent of the angle without a calculator. So exact values using reference angles. So this is where the reference angles are going to help us out. Okay? No calculator, exact value, and our theta is 675. Well, we'll do 300 first. 300 degrees. Okay, 300 degrees. We need to find the reference angle. So I'm going to have the sine of 300 degrees. This is like the worksheet that we did. Okay? So the sine of 300 degrees is equal to, well, what quadrant is 300 in? The fourth. Is sine positive or negative there?
Can you draw that
Negative. Negative, yeah.
thing for me? 'Cause
I'm just going to do that because sine is y, right? And it's down here, so it'd be negative. Okay, so it's negative the sine of the reference angle,
60.
which is 60. How'd you figure out 60?
360 minus 300.
Okay, so 360 minus 300. I'm just writing down what's going on in my brain. You don't have to write that down. Of 60. Oops, that's a degree symbol. That's a big degree symbol. Okay, so negative the sine of 60. Well, so it's going to be negative. And opposite 60 is what?
What?
What's opposite 60? What's my ratio?
1 to 1.
You mean like pi over?
Oh, you mean in the triangle?
Yeah, the triangle, guys. I want to sine of 60. Square root of 3 over
Oh.
Over 2.
2. Exact values. Anytime exact values, your triangles. 2 triangles, yes. Which triangles?
30, 60, 90,
45,
45,
45, 90.
And your quadrantals, right? Your circle. So your triangles and your circle. Okay. So then I need the cosine of 300. Well, the cosine of 300, is it going to be positive or negative?
Negative the sine
Uh,
of 60. Oh, negative.
That's
Positive.
Why is it positive down here?
Because it's a X.
Because it's the x, and this is the positive x-axis, correct?
Yes.
So it's going to be equal to the cosine of the reference angle, which is 60. Well, if opposite 60 was square root of 3, adjacent has to be 1 over 2. So tangent of 300. So tangent's right here, yes?
Yep.
Okay. Is it positive or negative?
Negative.
Why is it negative?
Because it has one negative, one positive.
Because tangent is sine over cosine, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, which it's one's positive and one is negative. So it's going to be negative the tangent of, what's the reference angle still? 60 degrees. So tangent is opposite over adjacent. Well, opposite was the square root of 3, yes. And adjacent was 1. So my answer is negative square root of 3. Could I have done negative sine over cosine?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you would do this, but could I have done this? And then I could have put square root of 3 over 2 over 1/2. And when I reciprocate these, you guys didn't tell me, you couldn't see me. When I reciprocate, these 2's reduce, right? And I still get negative square root of 3. So it's all about the reference angle. That's why it has a party hat on it, because it's all about itself. Okay, what about negative 270? We're not going to go through the whole thing, like the whole process we did there, but I'm going to set it up so then you get it down to a 30, 60, 45. Does that make sense, what I'm getting at? Okay. So, negative 570 is my theta. Okay, so I need the sine of that. Well, first of all, where is 570 at? Negative 570. So we probably need to draw what again? A circle. I need to just make a sticky note so I don't have to keep drawing this circle. But do you need to keep drawing this circle till it's in your brain? Yes.
It's in
Negative 210.
Okay, so negative 570. So one time around is negative 360, yes?
That leaves 210.
And then this would be another,
210.
2.
so then we're here.
No.
No, it's in the next one. Oh.
Okay, so I'm going to take negative 570 and I'm going to add 360 to it, right?
210.
To unwind itself is negative 210. So negative 210 would leave me where?
Right there.
Right there. Okay, so we're here. So this is, and I sometimes will just do this. Q2. Why did I put Q2 there?
Quadrant 2.
Because it's going to tell me whether things are positive, negative, right? Okay. And now I need the reference angle. Probably should do that before I even do this. So we got that this was negative 210, yes? So the reference angle is going to be 210 minus 180, right?
30.
30?
Yeah.
Okay, so the reference angle is 30. I know I'm in quadrant 2, so do I have enough to find the sine, the cosine, and the tangent now? Okay, so the sine of negative 570 is equal to, positive or negative, we're in Q2,
So positive.
positive, the sine of the reference angle, which is
30.
30, which you should all know is what?
2. 1
Square root of
1 over 2.
Dang, almost got it.
Oh, 1 over
Okay, the cosine
Negative.
is negative. Why?
2. 30.
Because it's y is negative in that.
Because the y is negative. Well, if opposite was 1, adjacent has to be
Square root.
square root of 3 over 2. So once I find what quadrant it's in and the reference angle, can I do these problems very quickly? Yes. And then tangent, do it on your own. Okay, tangent, positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. When these two are opposite signs, it's going to be negative, isn't it? The tangent of what?
30.
Of 30. So it would be 1 over the square root of 3, so it's going to be negative square root of 3 over 3. You got to rationalize it. Okay, last one of these. 13 pi over 6. Somebody tell me where that's at and why.
In the first quadrant.
Why?
Because it's over 2.
It's over 2 pi. It's 1 more than 2 pi, isn't it? Because 2 pi would be what? 12. You've started seeing those things, right? So we're here. So our reference angle is, so it's Q1. And our reference angle, Kaylee, is what?
5 or 6.
Pi over 6.
She knows that one.
Okay,
Degrees.
you know it's really nice? Well, we're radians, so we got to think radians. It's like when we're learning Spanish, if we think in English all the time, it takes us twice as long, right? Anytime you see the denominator, if it is a 6, it is 30 reference angle, yes? If it is a 3, it's what? 60, because 60 goes into 180 3 times. And if it's a 4, it's what? 45. If it's a 2, it's a what?
40.
It's a quadrantal, isn't it? It's either 90 or 270. Make sense? What if it's a whole pi? Then it has to be what?
180 or 360.
It has to
Or
be.
0.
It has to be on the x-axis. Okay, so everything is what? Positive. Okay, so do it.
Find the side.
Sine, cosine, and tangent, real quick. Real quick. Hopefully you got 1/2 square root of 3 over 2 and square root of 3 over 3.
Okay, but what if I did it as like sine of 30?
When you're in radians, you need to write it in radians. Your brain all day can be going 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, but the paper has to say pi over 6, pi over 6, pi over 6.
Can I do pi over 6
That's
equals
dumb.
30?
In your head.
Can you say that?
I want to see both. I only want to see what it's in. I'm going to force you to do it. Sorry, guys. Okay.
I get the right answer.
So, yeah, you do. I'm just trying to get you to train your brain not to work so hard. We want to
That's me
conserve
working easier.
energy.
Yeah, that's me working easier.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the sine of theta is, the cotangent of theta is -3. Okay, I'm going to tell you that. The cotangent of theta equals -3. It is in quadrant. Well, I'm going to put Q up here because I'm going to do a couple of these. What quadrant it is in? 2. And I want the cosecant. Want. Okay, so do I have a connection between cotangent and cosecant?
Yeah.
Yes. What connection do you have?
Cotangent is equal to.
Do I have an identity that connects those two?
Yeah, Pythagorean identity.
I have a Pythagorean identity that connects those two, yes?
Yeah, cotangent plus 1 equals cosecant.
I have cotangent squared plus 1 equals cosecant squared, yes? And there's a theta here and here. So if I just want cosecant, what do I have to take of it? The square root. Okay, so cosecant of theta is going to equal the square root of cotangent squared plus 1, right? Okay, so we just got to fill it in now. What is the cotangent? -3. So we're going to have the square root of -3 squared plus 1? Yes? So -3 squared is 9 plus 1 is 10. So the cosecant of theta is the square root of 10. And I'd have to simplify that if I could, but I can't simplify square root of 10. So this section is going to be making you use your Pythagorean identities. Amazing, right? Do we need to do another one of those? Are you guys good?
Sure.
Let's do another one.
Okay. I just want to make sure we get through all of them. Okay, I'm going to tell you I have the secant of theta. How about secant of theta is negative, I can't read it so small, 9/4. And we are in what quadrant? 3. Oh, wait a second. We're in quadrant 2. What is the cosecant in quadrant 2? Is it positive or negative?
I'm trying to think.
Cosecant's the reciprocal of
Sine.
sine, and sine in quadrant 2 is positive, so we're good, right?
Okay.
So this is going to tell me the positive or negative, because when I take the square root, there's a plus and a minus, correct?
Yeah.
I forgot. We should have decided that very first thing, shouldn't we have?
Yeah.
Okay, and
But we're
then
in quadrant 2, aren't we?
this one is in quadrant 2, yes, and
Why is that
sine,
not because it's negative.
well, this one's quadrant 3.
Yeah, and that is.
This is quadrant 3.
secant.
And
Yeah.
secant is what?
I don't know, but if it's -9/4,
Secant
that means
is
it goes
x.
1 and then 1 more, so
One
wouldn't it
over
be
cosine.
quadrant 2?
No, this isn't the angle. This is the answer. This is off the triangle.
Oh.
Okay, I don't want the angle. I just want the answer.
Secant is x.
Secant is x, and so that's why it's negative, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I want the cotangent of theta. Okay, so, did I say cotangent? Yes. Ooh, I might have to be doing some work here.
Yeah,
Well,
we
we
need to
have
get
the
it-
tangent of theta squared is equal to secant of theta squared, so can't you do 1
1
over
over tangent.
cotangent?
Okay, so we know, well, okay, let's make it, we don't have a direct to here, right? We don't have a direct to here, but we do have secant and what? Tangent? Okay, so we have tangent squared theta plus 1 equals secant theta, or squared, yes? So then I would take the square root of this, wouldn't I? And is it going to be positive or negative in this case?
Negative.
Positive.
Positive, because cotangent is both
Oh,
x and y,
cotangent.
so it's going to be positive. So it's the plus, and I write the plus. When I make a decision, I write the plus or the minus, okay? So now we need to get tangent into cotangent, don't we? So tangent is 1 over cotangent, correct? Because that's our reciprocal identity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. And once I took the square root, that's going to be equal to secant. Wait a second, I solved this for the wrong thing. Didn't I? What were we supposed to be finding? Cotangent. What did we solve it for? Or what did I direct us to? Secant. We needed to go the other way, didn't we?
Use square root of
So what do I need to do before I take the square root?
Subtract 1.
Subtract 1. We're still going to have to do the same thing. Still going to be positive, right? So I'm going to have tangent squared, sorry guys, equals secant squared
Give me your paper then.
minus 1. Yes, I can. Thank you for telling me. Okay, so I have this, right?
1 over cotangent square root of theta equal to secant squared minus 1. So
Okay.
you have to put it in.
I'm going to have to take the square root, aren't I?
Mm-hmm.
So I have tangent of theta equals, and it's going to be the positive. Why is it positive?
Because it's in the third quadrant.
Because it's in the third quadrant. Okay, so now, well, if I want the cotangent, don't I have to reciprocate this? Yes. Because cotangent equals 1 over tangent, doesn't it? Okay, so cotangent, I should have just written it here, is equal to 1 over tangent. So it's going to be equal to 1 over the square root of secant squared theta minus 1. So, do we have it all ready to work out now?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to put this information into here, don't we? Okay, so I'm going to have positive because we're in what quadrant?
The third.
The third. And the square root. Secant is what? Negative 9/4. So negative 9/4 squared minus 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then we have, and this is going to be 81/16. And minus 1 with common denominators is going to be
16 minus
16 minus 16. Is it 55? Okay, so it's going to be 1 over the square root, and it's the square root of 55 over the square root of 16, right? And why did I do that?
Because you gotta be able to square them
Well, I can
You can
take
get
the
rid of the
square root of
4.
16, can't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to come back up here. Hopefully you guys are going to keep going down, okay? So we have cotangent, because I don't want to write small, is 1 over the square root of 55 divided by 4, right?
Plus 1. Oh, no, man.
We already did that. Okay, now multiply by the reciprocal. So I get cotangent of theta equals 4 over the square root of 55, right?
81 minus 16 is 65.
Oh, you guys didn't. Thank you. I just trusted them. I didn't do it.
Don't ever blame it on us.
Can I simplify 65?
Yes.
No.
It's 5 and 13. So I can't simplify it.
So, yeah.
So now what?
You have to rationalize.
I have to rationalize it. So the cotangent is going to be 4 square root of 65 over what?
65.
Over 65. Woo, there we're done.
I'm
Now, did that take a lot of work?
Yes.
Yes. Now, when I knew there wasn't a direct connection, I found, well, I could find a connection between secant and tangent, right? And then do I have a connection between tangent and cotangent? Yes. I didn't even try to solve the problem first, did I? I came over here and I built what I was going to use to do it. That was the hardest one in the section. Probably you won't even have one like that. Maybe. I don't know. Okay. Next.
Sticky note.
It's right there. I got it. Okay, your calculator, the next ones where it says 75, 81, and 89, those are in your calculator. The biggest thing you need to remember is switch back and forth between radians and degrees. Yes?
Yep.
And do you have a secant, a cosecant, or a cotangent button in your calculator?
Zero.
No, you do not.
No, you do not. So if I want the cotangent,
Negative.
no,
1 over.
I do 1 over the tangent and then put my theta in, right? So that's the biggest, that's what that. And then the last section, you have one application problem, but it's just a triangle. And I want you to think of it as just a triangle. Do not overthink it. I will be sad if you do. Okay, that was very rude. The cosine of theta is,
You can't see.
okay, square root of 2 over 2. I can see it just fine, so thank you for telling me you can't see it. Okay, cosine of theta is square root of 3 over 2. I want you to tell me, or square root of 2 over 2, can't talk. I want you to tell me what theta is. Okay, if I'm asking you what theta is without a calculator, it better be part of a what triangle, or what?
Quadrangle.
30, 60, 90, quadrantal, or 45, 45. So back here, and I should know 30, 60, 90. What's across from 30? 1,
Square root of 3. 2.
2, and then 45, 45, 90.
Square root of 3, square root of 2. 2.
Okay,
So this is
and have you been taught 1, 1, square root of 2?
No.
No, when you did exact values, did they do 1?
45.
Did they do 1, 1, square root of 2?
I was homeschooling during this, so I really still don't know.
Okay, so we use this one. It's the same thing if you know the other one. Like if it hits you and go, oh, I know 1, 1, square root of 2, you can use it. It doesn't matter. Okay, so it has to be part of these things, right?
Yeah.
Well, which one of the, well, it's not these because this 1, 0s and undefined, correct?
45, 45.
It's 45, 45, 90, right?
Yeah.
So it's cosine, so it's adjacent. Well, that's,
Well, either
what
way,
is
you
it?
get
What's
45.
theta?
45.
45.
It's 45.
So anytime I ask you for theta and tell you not to use a calculator, okay, but wait a second, cosine's
Over
also
90.
positive where?
That's impressive.
In the
First and the,
First and fourth.
third.
so this is Q1.
It's positive in the third.
No, cosine is not positive in the third. In the fourth. Why is cosine positive in the fourth?
Because it's X.
too negative.
Because it's X. So theta equals what in the fourth quadrant?
It'd be IV. No, no.
What angle is 45 degrees away? 360 minus 45, right? 360
I can't see.
minus 45
Why do you have
No.
that?
315.
is 315. Oh,
Last problem.
that was supposed to be a V.
You don't have
Yeah.
to.
Okay, so it is what?
315.
315. So we how many positive answers will there be for every one of these? 2. How many negative answers will there be for every one of them? 2. This assignment is an actual wonderful review of everything we've done. It really is. It's basically your review assignment.
So we have 2 reviews.
Yeah, actually.
Maybe.
That's okay.
Okay. What about if I told you the cosine a negative? Cosine of theta equals negative square root of 2 over 2.
And
45.
It's still 40. My reference angle, when we do a negative, I want to see your reference angle. So my reference angle is 45, yes?
yeah.
Quadrant
Okay.
3 or 4.
So quadrant, what?
3
No.
No, it's quadrant.
2
and 3.
and 3.
Oh, see,
That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Okay, so when it is positive, there are how many answers? 2. And if you want to think about this, you can make it 3 every time because quadrant 1 is its own reference angle, correct? Okay, when you have a negative, I am looking for the reference angle as well. Okay, so we're 45 away in the second quadrant. So that'd be 180 minus 45, 135. So equals 135. Okay, well, then I'm in the third quadrant, so that'd be 45 more, right? So this would be 180 plus 45. So 215. Yes, degrees. Do not forget your degrees. Oh, and it also says radians.
Yeah, no more.
So what's this radians? Pi over what?
4.
Pi over 4. Okay. Well, fourth quadrant is 1 less than 2 whole. So 8 is your bottom. Or 8's your 2 whole, right?
7.4.
So 7 pi over 4. Well, reference angle here would be pi over 4, right? Okay. Second quadrant, so that means it's 1 less than a whole. I know 4 is my bottom, correct?
3 pi.
So 3 pi over 4. And I know it's 1 more than a whole. 5 pi over whole. 4. Oop. Okay, when I go into radians, knowing it's in which quadrant actually is pretty easy, isn't it? 1 less, 1 more. Okay, 1 more. You guys want to do 1 more?
No.
No? Okay.
Hey,
So-
look. Watch this. Are you ready?
Oh, that's perfect timing.
Exactly.
Okay, so today is basically everything we've done, guys, except for sectors.
Oh, exciting. Oh, sectors. I don't like those.
Sectors aren't bad.
Sectors.
Tomorrow.
Why?
'Cause I won't be here.
I will send it to you as soon as I have it done.
Send it to me.
Or I'll put it on, we'll check Google Classroom. If it's in the book, I'll just post it in the classwork.
Have it on paper.
Huh?
You're not gonna print out.
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a worksheet or out of the book.
You're cool. Riley, you're really cool.
I think it's just going to be out of the book.
I bet you can't figure that out, can you?
Telling you.
Depends on.
Where are you going to be tomorrow?
Can't tell you. I'd have to kill you.
Oh.
Gotcha.
I'm going to see when my surgery date is.
Oh, that's, I knew it wasn't your surgery yet.
I wish.
I'm going under tomorrow.
Going under tomorrow? We'll be all thinking of you. Which hand is it, Kaylee? Right or left?
My right one.
Don't you write with your right?
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
That's unfortunate.
How long for recovery?
6 weeks.
So you can't write for 6 weeks.
I can do whatever I want.
You can practice.
They recommend you don't do that. I'm gonna try.
Or is it only do what you can handle?
See,
That's a really good excuse.
No math for me.
I wouldn't be able to handle it.
I know you wouldn't.
That's bad because you guys don't have 9 weeks. You only have what? When do seniors get out?
I'll be here in like no time.
I'm so excited.
I know, but seniors get out a week earlier. Is that right?
What?
A week earlier?
Talked about this.
2 weeks. So that means everybody, our final
No.
is in 7 weeks.
I'm ready now. We can skip the final.
where's the
if you want that
assignment?
to happen instead.
Oh, I didn't even, okay, on the board, I didn't even explain it. On our board, see pre-calc,
If
it's
you guys would
there.
rather have
But
it
it's
two
also on
weeks later,
Google
give us
Classroom
one,
on that
put it out,
classwork.
that'd be alright.
It's, I posted it, so, I'm sorry, I didn't even think about it. I'm like, it's my board,
Well, you
obvious.
just keep talking about the assignment.
Oh, I didn't pause it. We got our whole conversation there, didn't we?
I need to turn this thing in.